Hello everybody! I would like to say a few words about eclipses. The question is, are they significant from the astrological point of view, and if yes, then what is the meaning of them? I often mention them in my newsletters, during consultations and seminars, and people are wondering why do I emphasize them? Eclipses are very important from the astrological point of view, but some astrologers keep away from them because eclipses open the question of destiny, and today's people feel a bit unpleasant when they hear about that fact. In the past times, it was contrary. People used to believe that everything depends on the will of the highest power and used to wait with the respect on the manifestation of that power. So let me shortly introduce the eclipses to you. At the beginning of this video, you have seen the picture of the solar and lunar eclipse. When it's a solar eclipse, the sun is covered by the moon, and when it's a lunar eclipse, the moon is covered by the earth. Lunar eclipse always happens in the time of the full moon, and solar eclipse happens in the time of the new moon. Eclipses occur when the sun and the moon meet on their paths. Similarly, north and south lunar nodes are points where solar and lunar orbits intersect. So these two, eclipses and nodes, are part of the same phenomenon this astrology speaks about. To say more precisely, eclipses happen when the sun conjuncts with the transiting north lunar node, and 6 months later when the sun conjuncts with the transiting south lunar node. So twice in the year is the season of eclipses. They are separated from each other 6 months and they always appear in pair. For example, on the 19th of March in the year 2015 was the solar eclipse in Pisces, and afterwards on the 5th of April was the lunar eclipse in Libra. 6 months later, on the 13th of September, there is going to be the solar eclipse in Virgo, and on the 27th of September will be lunar eclipse in Aries. So what is the meaning of the eclipses? Eclipses move us further on the life path, or sometimes correct the path, especially if we have run off the road. Sometimes they bring changes that we did not expect, but sometimes they bring the opportunities that we could only dream about. Often in the eclipse time something ends, and after that new things enter into our life. This does not mean that we cannot choose our life path. We can, but we also can't. And to understand the miracle of life, we have to think it dialectically, and I cannot speak in detail about that now. But let's make it simple. Our life consists of the decisions we made at a certain point when we had to choose, and that is most likely going to happen during the eclipse's time as well. Nevertheless, it is hard to understand the effect of the eclipse without esoteric and spiritual sciences, and they say that when eclipses start to appear in our sign, it is the time to fulfill promises that our soul has committed on before this incarnation. Eclipses are of the main concern in the Indian astrology. Indian spiritual philosophy has interest on them because it explains life and the existence with karma and dharma. Roughly to say, karma is the ballast that our soul carries from the previous lives, while dharma is the soul path that we create in this life by proper behavings on all levels of life. I will say only a few words about lunar nodes, but I'm willing to make a special video about them. Lunar nodes appear in the same zodiac sign as eclipses, each 18 years. That means that each 18 years we experience the same cycle but in different conditions. If you wish to understand the eclipses in the context of your life path, try to remember What was happening with you in the years 1996 and 1997? It is now going to repeat the same model, as eclipses are going to influence the same area of your life, but will of course have a slightly different effect and meaning. That basically means that one cycle is completed and you are moving on your life path to the next level of spiritual and emotional growth. In the last 2 years, lunar nodes were transiting the signs of Libra and Aries. And from the year 2015 to 2016 approximately, they will transit through the signs of Virgo and Pisces. That is to say that mainly those mentioned zodiac signs are affected, but also all other people who have planets and important astrological points in those mentioned signs. We said that the last eclipse was at the 19th of March and then on the 5th of April 2015. So there was some time between those eclipses. In the ancient cultures, the period between the eclipses was mystical time, time for praying, meditation, and expectation. It is not the time to make new plans or start a new project, neither is the time to make plans for the future, but it's a time to wait. Also, the period before and after eclipses is important. That applies for the period of 1 to 2 months before and after eclipses. Why? Because if eclipses happen in our sign or in the ascendant, we will be a little bit chaotic, nervous, we will feel uncertainty, and we will most probably be under the pressure of some completely unknown emotions and mental conditions. The nature feels the same. For example, eclipse that happened on the 19th of March was in Pisces, the sign of oceans, and its power could be seen in Bretagne, for example, in France, where extremely big tide was. Such tide happens each 18 years when eclipse is in Pisces. I usually advise people not to drink alcohol around the eclipse, especially if it is in their sign or on the ascendant. It is good to keep healthy regime, to be clean in all possible ways, and to perceive what the universe has to say. The problem is that people feel that something will happen and that they need to do something around the eclipse time. So further advice is that if you feel the urge to act, don't do anything. Try to relax and do ordinary things. Eclipses have series. That was discovered by Babylonians. In the ancient times, eclipses were always trouble, and that's why they tried to discover and to understand their rhythm and meaning. There are not many astrologers who write about Babylonian astrological knowledge for the wider public, as Rumen Kolev does, or for example Bernadette Brady, astrologer who uses Babylonian tables to describe the series of eclipses. Eclipses have series that appear in a vast period of time. We speak about 13,000 years cycle. 71 to 73 eclipses appear from that same series in that period of time. Each eclipse from the same series has the same characteristic and meaning. I would like to elaborate more on this. Russian philosopher Alexei Losev wrote in one of his books that it is wrong to think that miracles happen as the result of prayer. Miracles happen because of God's grace. He also explains what is a miracle. To make it short, it is a moment in time when two planes meet, the outer and the inner plane, the plane of etheric ideas and being with real historical plane. At the moment when a miracle happens, one's life gets inner meaning. And I believe we can explain eclipses in a similar way. Eclipses are moments in time when a man or his soul, symbolized by the moon, meets with the conscious of the universe, symbolized by the sun. Only some of the eclipses influence our lives. They move us onward. In that process, our soul gains new experiences that perhaps is one of the most important purposes of our existence. We Europeans do not have spiritual science like this. I was mentioning incarnation and soul evolution, and that is a part of the Indian spiritual tradition. Astrology is also a part of their science of soul evolution. We don't have such things. So that was all for now. I hope it was helpful to you. Hope to see you again. Until next time, wish you luck on this your life journey.